I bought more Amiibo. Yeah, I couldn't pass up on Noah and Mio, as I love Xenoblade Chronicles 3 a ridiculous amount, but buying them got me thinking. Amiibo are going to be 10 years old this fall. Amiibo first hit store shelves in November of 2014, and I was a senior in high school at that point in time and didn't have a ton of disposable income, but I was immediately enthralled in these little statues. So I kind of want to talk about my 10-year history with the Amiibo and go through my collection, talk about my memories getting some of them, and just reflect on such an odd thing that Nintendo has been doing the past 10 years. Hi everybody, my name's Alex, aka Quality, and welcome back to this channel. So before I show off all of my Amiibo, I do want to give my kind of collecting history with it for the most part. Now, I have never been a super dedicated Amiibo hunter, I think, but I definitely really got into the craze as soon as these guys came out. So as I said, I was a senior in the fall of 2014, and I remember seeing the ads for Amiibo and just kind of being like, whoa, that's really cool that we're gonna get all these character figures, and also very confused and underwhelmed with their functionality. While I was one of the two people in my town that had a Wii U, I still couldn't really find myself to be like, I need to get a bunch of these so I can use them in Smash. That didn't really appeal to me, but what did appeal to me was the fact that I was going to be able to get small statues of some of my favorite characters from Super Smash Bros. When I was a kid playing Melee for the first time, my favorite thing was getting trophies. I don't know why, I'm not a big collectibles person when it comes to games, and something about getting a trophy of those characters at the end of playing with that character during Melee, it just, I don't know, it was just this really good experience for me as a kid. And I just remember dreaming oh, I wish these were real so I could have them and display them around my house. And it only took about 10 years after the fact, but Nintendo sure did listen to me. I like to think that I really spoke Amiibos into existence, if I'm being honest. My wish for them as a kid was just so strong that by the time I was 17, 18 years old, Nintendo was like, let's do it. Let's do it. So the design of the Amiibo immediately appealed to me. It was everything I had been wanting since playing Melee back in the day. But as we got closer and closer to the release, the kind of sleek prototype versions of some of these characters ended up not being exactly what happened. If you can remember some of the very first Amiibo previews, some of the characters had these really sleek, almost clear plastic poles supporting them, because some of them, especially based on their Super Smash Bros. 4 for the Wii U render, some of them weren't in perfect standing or sitting condition, so there needed to be some extra support so they could, be in that pose, and I thought it looked really sleek. And then, when we got them, we got this. We got this yellow brick for Link and other colors for different characters, and it didn't look great. There were also some other problems when these Amiibo came out for the first time. Continuing to use Link as an example, you see how warped his sword is? It's pretty bendy, which wasn't great. Did I care at 17? Not exactly. Again, the allure and the fact that my childhood dream had been fulfilled was still mainly at the forefront of my brain. But looking back at them now, it's kind of silly how a lot of the very first iterations of these Amiibo looked. And as we go through the collection, I'll kind of talk about some of the original Smash ones versus some of the ones that we're getting now and the differences. But so as I mentioned, being a senior in high school, I really didn't have extra money to be spending on Amiibo, and I still couldn't really find myself ready to justify spending a bunch of money on little figures versus a new game or something like that. But because Amiibo came out just in time for Black Friday, I made a deal with myself. I was only going to buy one Amiibo, and that Amiibo had to be Marth. It just had to be. I wasn't gonna buy anybody else because I knew I wanted Marth. Marth was my main at the time, and I was gonna buy Marth. And so we only went to Best Buy that night. I don't think we went to GameStop or any other place like that, but we went to Best Buy and we darted to their Amiibo section. And everybody was there. except Marth. I was crushed because I was so excited. I was so excited to have Marth and pick him up. But this memory, a very core memory in my Amiibo collecting brain, was the beginning of the end. Because, as I said, everybody but Marth was there, including Wii Fit Trainer and Villager. Now, if you know Amiibo, you probably know why this is significant. If you don't, a little context. Now, in this very first wave of Amiibo, because they released them all in waves, because it'd be kind of crazy to release every character all at once, in this very first wave, you had a lot of your very typical characters. You had Mario, Peach, Link, those types of characters. You also had 3 characters that probably weren't as popular: Marth, Wii Fit Trainer, and Villager. Now, of this wave, you could expect to see a lot of Mario and Link. They knew that people were going to want those ones that picked those up. But not expecting Villager, Wii Fit Trainer, or Marth to be as popular of Amiibo, they didn't make a ton of those ones. And if you remember, right after Black Friday, the prices of those 3 characters shot way up to ridiculous standards for, at that point in time, was a $12.99 figure, I'm pretty sure. Those 3 characters were sold out from any retail store for months. And there was no way of getting them. And I remember after that day and finding that out, I was kicking myself so hard for not picking up Wii Fit Trainer or Villager. You know, at that time, how was I supposed to know? That wasn't a part of the deal, and I didn't really want those characters. But the collecting bug had started to get to me without even owning a single Amiibo. I knew from that moment, seeing how sought after they were, and just how excited I was for them initially, I was like, I need to get some of these. Even if they're not the most rare characters, I need to get some of these, and then eventually pick up the ones that I missed out on. I was gonna get a Marth at some point in my life, no matter what. So I still didn't get an Amiibo until closer to Christmas that year. I hosted a big Christmas party for all of the flutes and the marching band, which at that point in time, it was like 30-some kids, and we were doing a Secret Santa. And we made the cap, I think, $15, so I put on there an Amiibo. Any old one, I didn't really care, but I was like, you know, that's attainable, you know, maybe somebody would do it. And one of my very dear friends in that section came through and got me my very first ever Amiibo, and I was ecstatic. Even if it wasn't the character that I super wanted, probably one of the ones I least wanted out of the bunch, I'm still very happy that this guy was my very first Amiibo, and that is Donkey Kong! Yup, poor DK has an icicle sticking out of his nether region, shall we say, for YouTube. But yeah, this guy was crazy. He's a pretty heavy figure, honestly. Not the heaviest, but still pretty heavy. But he was my very first ever Amiibo, and I remember opening that from my friend during the Secret Santa, and I was so excited because I didn't actually think that one of them was gonna get one for me, and the fact that they did was so sweet that I was so happy. But yeah, I was super duper happy. So this guy, he sat under my Christmas tree because I have a very strict policy, even in my adulthood, that I don't use really any of my Christmas presents until after Christmas, even when I got them before Christmas. I like to keep the Christmas magic alive. Yeah, so I was really happy to get him. And then that same Christmas, I got my second Amiibo, and this is the one that I specifically asked for because I knew I loved this character. It was easy for parents to pick up, and it wasn't going to be scalped on the internet, and that was the Link that I showed sooner. Yep, he was my second one. I've had him for a very long time. I brought Link to college with me, I think, too. He was one of the few that made the journey over there eventually, but yeah. So, as I said, these first print run Amiibo were not always the best. My Link actually isn't too bad, but his sword has been bendy since day one. And again, I remember being very disappointed when I saw the yellow stand, because it's just so jarring. It's just so jarring. But those were my first 2 Amiibo, and I kept these guys boxed for many months, because I still hadn't decided if I wanted to keep them boxed or if I had wanted to unbox them. And you'll find out that the boxing did not work. But these 2 set in motion what would be the next several years of my life of checking the Amiibo Reddit, hunting with friends, and various other Amiibo-related activities. Now, my Amiibo hunting really persisted throughout college, especially for the first 2 years. I was dating somebody at the time who was really into Amiibo. My very dear friend Seth was also into Amiibo, so we kind of had this situation where we were going out, checking different stores in different areas for different Amiibo, getting some imported if there was a restock overseas, and then sending them to friends. It was a whole operation. It was a whole operation, and it was really, really fun. However, I spent way more money than any unemployed college kid should have at the time. My very first year of college was really difficult for me mentally. I was going through a lot, and Amiibo hunting was one of those things where it was just kind of this carefree thing to do until, you know, I realized how much money I was actually spending on these guys. But it was just, it brought me closer to my friends at the time when I was really feeling that first year away loneliness. And thankfully by my second year of college, things started to get way better, and I was still buying Amiibo at that point in time, but the reliance of the Amiibo hunt almost faded a little bit at that point in time. But so yeah, I really continued to collect in college up until my 4th year of college, I think. At that point in time, I had amassed a pretty decent array of Amiibo, and I'd really gotten most of the characters that I wanted, and we were releasing a few more that I wasn't as interested in. Also by that time, Smash Ultimate had come out, which meant more characters were coming out. I remember being so afraid that they were going to redo all of the pre-existing Amiibo characters to update them to the Ultimate art style, and I'm really glad they didn't, because that would have been way too much, but I remember that being a very realistic. But it was at that time that I was really starting to grow my Switch collection a little bit more. I had a job, and so I was paying rent and doing all of these other things that, you know, were a little bit more important than buying Amiibo. But the need to buy some Amiibo when those new characters came out was definitely still there. But I think the best way to continue this whole big Amiibo story is to go through my collection and talk about some of them. Now, I'm gonna kind of mainly go through my Smash ones first. Most of these are the ones that I've collected over the years, but that same dear friend Seth actually decided to give away a bunch of his Amiibo, and I was one of the 2 recipients. It was me and TJ got the other half of them. So we were really, really fortunate. Thanks, Seth. You made my Amiibo collection double in size, basically, and helped me get some characters that I was just never able to pick up when I was actively collecting. So I was always really, really nice. So I think an important one to start with, which I'm sure people are asking the question, did you ever get Marth? Why, yes, I did in fact get Marth. I ended up importing him. I think me and Seth imported our Marths because there was just no hope of a restock any time. Plus, if anybody remembers, the very first print of Marth, which is one of the main reasons I'm really glad that I never, sought out a first print or anything, the face on Marth was especially derpy. A lot of the first print Amiibo were not good looking, but they fixed that in later prints. I don't think it's gonna actually focus, but you can kind of see he's got like a not as derpy face, so that was good. So yeah, Marth, still very glad. He was one of the few that came with me to like my last few apartments in college because he was just a special one, a big memory. But yeah, still kind of a little bit bendy of a sword. Not as much as Link's, but this was a pretty good reprint, I think. His cape looks a lot better than it did in original prints, and yeah, I'm really glad that I got the version of Marth that I was supposed to, you know, in the end. So still a very, very special memory for that one. Now, another one of my personal favorites, one that followed me through college, Olimar. Olimar I picked up on a whim, I think. Like, as I'm sure a lot of you know, I haven't actually played any Pikmin games, but I love Pikmin as characters. I love Olimar. I think Olimar is really cute. I like playing as Olimar in Smash. But this was just one that I think I saw at the GameStop in my college town. It's like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna get it. And I did, and it just became one of my favorite Amiibo. I love, honestly, like how much space everybody takes up on the Amiibo. It's something that, I don't know, I think I've really come to like the bigger sized Amiibo and that really utilize the space of the little disc. I don't know. So I really love Olimar. This is a big favorite of mine. Now some of these I am gonna go through a little quickly if I don't have super specific memories, but Toon Link I think is a great one. There are so many Zelda Amiibo now too that it was really, really nice to eventually get this guy in here. This was one that I got from Seth, and even though I don't have any of the Legend of Zelda Amiibo, I have some other Zelda ones you'll see later, but not of that series. I'm really glad I have some kind of Toon Link representation now. I just think this one's really clean. I like this one a lot. More Zelda. This was Zelda that I bought a long time ago. You can kind of see she's got like a purple cast, which for her, I get she's stepping back, but I don't really understand why they had to have that for her to hold her in place. I don't know if it's more so for like, I don't know. I just don't get it. But otherwise, I really do like this figure. I think she looks really good. The paint job on this one specifically is really, really nice. So this was a great pickup. I think I got her when Wave 2 came out, or a little bit after Wave 2 came out. She was one of the more popular ones in that wave, so she was pretty easy to find. Little Mac. Big Punch-Out fan. He looks great. No cast needed for this guy, but this was another Seth one, I think, but just a good one to have. Again, big Punch-Out fan. Mewtwo, I kind of don't really like this amiibo, actually. Like, you know, it's Mewtwo, so what else are you gonna do with him? But again, he's got a weird stand underneath him that is weirdly hollow for some reason. I don't really know why, but I think, you know, it just looks weird. They colored it kind of like purpley clear to not be super like noticeable. I'm holding it out over here to try to see it in the light, but it just looks weird. This is not one of my favorites. Glad I have it. This was another Seth addition to the collection, but not one of my faves. Now Diddy Kong, also kind of a weird stand. I understand why, because I think him holding on just by the arm by itself, I don't think would support the rest of the weight of the figure. But it's just a little weird. It's a little weird. Why did they make so many of them yellow? That's really the main question, is why did they make so many of them yellow when they could have made them in any other color? They could have just kept it clear. Even if it was blocky, they could have just kept it clear. And I think they started doing that for more, and especially some of the more recent ones, but in some of these older ones, you can just see like, why, what was the decision here? So poor Diddy Kong. I love his hat though. I don't know if you can see the Nintendo logo on his hat is pretty good, but another neat one is Bowser Jr. So I have a cool story about this one. So actually, that same boyfriend I was dating at the time was a really big fan of the Koopa Kids. So I ended up ordering a custom amiibo off of Etsy of Ludwig, and it was, you know, the Bowser Jr. amiibo, but painted and customized. People got so creative with their customizations for custom amiibos, and people still do it. There's still a market for it for sure, but I just remember that being the height of people figuring it out and really learning how to sculpt around these things, and it was so cool. Some people just do such a nice job with the paint jobs and stuff, so that was a really cool memory. I actually didn't get this guy until Seth gave it to me, and it's kind of unfortunate. You can see some of the yellowing on the clown car, but it's still pretty cool. I like that I have him. Again, a pretty heavy figure, but very. We've got Samus, I think a super clean one. There's a little bit of dust on her though, so be wary of that, but just really cool. This was always another favorite of mine. I always thought that Samus looked super sleek, and even though I wasn't a big Metroid fan at the time, just really neat looking. Another favorite, Sheik. I love this one. See, this is what I'm talking about with the clear plastic. It just looks so much better. It just looks so much better, even though it's weird, like it's a weird arch, like it's not as distracting, but Sheik was a cool one. This is another one I picked up for myself in college at some point in time. Another underrated fave, Wario. The design on Wario is so good. I mean, look at the logo on the back. It's so clean. I love how detailed he is, and I think that's one of my favorite things about a lot of the Smash Amiibo is they are so detailed, and I think they've only gotten better over time too. Like in some other waves of Amiibo, like the Kirby ones or some of the other Zelda ones, they're not as detailed because they're going for a very specific art style, which is fine, but I just think that all of the Smash ones are just so detailed, and I love it. Wario is a great one though. Lucario, kind of boring, but he's here too, you know. We love the Pokemon ones. I wish they were more interesting, especially during the Smash 4 era, but I think once we got into Ultimate and Pokemon Trainer came back out, the Squirtle and the Ivysaur ones got way more interesting, so yeah, I don't know, but that's one big gripe I have with some of these earlier Pokemon ones. And of course we have Mario. So fun fact about Mario and Peach, which I actually don't have a Peach fun fact. This was actually a trophy I used for a Smash tournament that I did for my high school band lock-in. I was the main organizer of the games room, so I set up my Wii U on this huge projector. We had a Smash tournament that was bracketed. Don't tell Nintendo, it was unofficial, but we had a Smash tournament. We had a Mario Kart tournament. It was a blast, but I thought, what a better prize than a trophy? So I got a Mario Amiibo for the Smash tournament and a Peach Amiibo for the Mario Kart tournament. And actually, I did not win. I did not win the tournament. I got out in the second round, I think, because you also had to switch characters every round that you did too. You weren't allowed to stay with the same one. And yeah, I kind of put all my eggs in one basket that first round by playing Shulk, and then the second round, I think I was Marth and it didn't work out as well. But yeah, so I didn't win this actually, but again, the boyfriend I was dating at the time is a very good Smash player. I think he still is, but so he gave this to me because I was very bummed out about not getting an amiibo. I did almost win the Mario Kart one, but I didn't. I came in third place, so that was very disappointing. That was at the height of my Mario Kart 8 skills. Next up, we got Zero Suit. Very nice figure. I'm a big fan of Zero Suit just as like playing her and stuff. I think she's fun and very fast. And yeah, she's cool. Now we have what's arguably the best amiibo for functionality, Yoshi. You can use this Yoshi amiibo, or at least you could back in the day, in more games than any other amiibo. Because you had Woolly World, you had Smash, you had so many other benefits of getting Yoshi and getting something good from using the Yoshi amiibo. He was just a really good one to have. Now, another big one, and one that I wish I would have collected more from this series, Ike. I love the Fire Emblem ones. I think they're very detailed, but sometimes they can go wrong. Ike was always a clean one, but this guy was also really hard to find. But I think he was actually one of the easier Fire Emblem amiibo to find, if I can remember, at least for me personally. But I got him pretty close after he came out, and I was just so happy because at that point in time, I still hadn't gotten Marth, so he was my first Fire Emblem amiibo, and I was like, yes! Finally, I have something to show I love of the series. And I really think that's what amiibo hunting is about, and what it's about for so many people, is having that representation of the characters that you don't usually get to see have merch ever, like Ike. So it was really, really great to get him. Pac-Man was a Seth addition to the collection. I think this is a pretty good Pac-Man figure overall, and I don't have any very big special nostalgic things about Pac-Man, but I think it's a cool amiibo. Pikachu, a big fave. Another one that came with me all throughout college, because who doesn't love Pikachu? I know I said the Pokemon ones are boring, but again, it's Pikachu. Now this is a really cool one that I got from Seth, Mega Man. I never thought I was gonna get this amiibo, and I love it. I think it's so cool. And again, I'm not a super big Mega Man fan, but I love the character. I love the villain designs in Mega Man. I need to play some Mega Man games, so if you have any suggestions, let me know where I should start. Now, I think both of these were Seth editions, but actually I might have bought Falco by itself, but I got Fox and Falco. Fox was a pretty cool one too. Very, very detailed, but suffering from some blue stands for him. But again, the detail on him, all of his different little trinkets, the eyepiece, it's so cool. Again, Star Fox is not a series that I'm super partial to, but I love the designs of the characters, and I think the amiibo really do a good job of bringing them out. Same thing with Falco. You have his cool eyepiece, all of his stuff. I really do think that I got Falco by myself, but I don't know why. I really don't know why. Now, I know I bought this ridiculous Luigi by myself. I've never gotten over Luigi's pose. I still don't even know what this means. I don't know what this is, but I think it's hilarious. I think it's absolutely hilarious. So thank you, Luigi. And for those also wondering if I eventually got Villager and Wii Fit Trainer, I did not get Wii Fit Trainer, but I did get Villager. And thankfully, if you'll notice the face, this is the reprint of Villager. This is not the original one where his eyes were way too big. This is the reprint. Again, thank God I waited to get this one. I picked this one up from a GameStop, I think, in my college town. I saw it and I was just so excited. I was like, yes, I'm gonna finally have Villager. And then after that, the buzz and excitement was gone. We got a big boy, which I think is one of the heaviest amiibo, Bowser. This guy, he's like a boulder. Like, he's so heavy and so spiky. Those are genuinely really, really pointy on the back, but very cool big boy. I like him a lot. Again, it's just cool to have like a full-on statue of this guy. Then we have Ryu, which I actually do think I bought him by myself. And this was at the point, not to kind of jump to a more depressing part of it all, but I think this was at the point where I really started to fall out of amiibo collecting. I was like, why am I buying these characters that I don't care about? Because there were a few that it's like, at the time I really didn't care about, and I don't really care about Ryu, but I think I saw him and I bought him and I was like, all right, now what? And that was it. So it's kind of sad looking back at him. He's a fine figure. I like the detail on his clothes, but yeah, that was when it really started to take a turn. Ganondorf was another guy that I bought myself, and he was a great purchase. This was one I really actually wanted to get, because again, I don't play as Ganondorf in Smash, but I sure do love Ganondorf as a character. And like, this guy's so detailed. You can't really see it. I'm not gonna really zoom in, but there's like so much detail on the pants. He's just cool. He's just a cool guy. Charizard, another kind of boring Pokemon one. I know there's not much you can do with Pokemon, but at the same time, like, I don't know. Some of these guys are just like almost too standard, but Charizard. Captain Falcon's high kick, bam, bam. I don't even know if that showed up on the camera, but yeah, here he is. And you know I said that the clear poles would be a little better. For Captain Falcon, given that it's coming directly out of his ass, I don't know if that's always the best. But he's a funny one. He's a funny one to have. Of course, we got the Kerbo. I was actually never able to find a Kirby by myself. For some reason, I couldn't find him. I couldn't find him anywhere. So this was a Seth donation, and I love him. He's just a cute little Kirby, and he goes with a lot of my other Kirbys. So yeah, I love this guy. I love him so much. So simple, but so good. For another round guy, we got Jigglypuff. Jigglypuff was another one that was really hard to find for a while, and just one that I'm very glad to have, but kind of looking at it closer, Jigglypuff's eyes almost look like stickers. They're painted on there, but it just looks a little weird. But happy to have my other round character. In Melee back in the day, I used to make videos called Jedi Puffballs that would feature Kirby and Jigglypuff with only laser swords, and I would make them fight each other, and that was those were my little Star Wars movies. Next we have Sonic. This was one that I bought myself because it was Sonic, and this was at my big Sonic is a meme phase of my life, where I didn't have many very specific ties to Sonic growing up. I did not play Sonic Adventure 1 or 2, which is a very odd experience to not have growing up, because so many of my peers did have that experience, but I just always knew Sonic is a fun character and thought having him forever would be great. Another Seth's donation, Dr. Mario. This is one I never would have bought for myself. Never, ever, 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 ever. I think Dr. Mario was a Target exclusive, and for Dr. Mario, I wasn't gonna go that length to get him. Something I really haven't talked about in this video are store exclusives. Some of these are exclusives, like I think Bowser Jr. was a Toys R Us exclusive, I think. Shulk, which you'll see in a minute, Shulk was a GameStop exclusive for the very limited time he was in print. Like, a lot of these ended up being store exclusives, which I think it was weird, because on one hand, I understand why they did that. I really do. But I think as a consumer trying to beat out scalpers and, big collectors that were going to buy a bunch, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work, and not something I think, even with having way more money now as an adult, I don't think it's something I would do now, is going to a bunch of different stores to get these exclusives that all came out on the same day. I just think that would be way too much, especially because those exclusives were always the characters that were going to go out of stock. So I think maybe that was also part of the decision on putting them only in one store, but at the same time, they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing, so. And then one more kind of normal one, Greninja. See, this is a cool Pokemon one. I think he's in a cool pose. Greninja's a neat Pokemon. Not one of my favorites, especially from that gen, but still pretty cool. And then here's a really exciting one. This one has a very specific memory that I want to talk about. The Retro 3-pack that featured Hunt Dog and Rob. And yes, my Rob is very yellowed. Looks exactly like my NES, so I don't know how that happened, but quite literally, actually my NES looks a little bit better than the yellowing on Rob. I don't know if they took that into account when they made him. Like, yeah, we'll make him yellow over time, just like the real thing. I don't know. And then Game & Watch, which the cool thing about Game & Watch, you have so many different versions of him you can put in, which I think was I put that in wrong. I thought that was such a great thing for this amiibo, and I'm just gonna hold up the other. It came with 4 different little things of him to put in there. I love that. I think that's so cool. But so the Retro 3-pack was GameStop exclusive. And as I said, it was only available in a 3-pack to start out with. And me and Seth, on the day it came out, sat outside of GameStop from 5 a.m. until they opened, which I think they opened an hour earlier because of the Retro 3-pack, which it's so funny because nowadays you can pre-order Amiibo and that's a scramble within itself, but pre-ordering Amiibo was not as easy as it is now. It was so much different and there was such more of a need to physically go to the store to go get them. And it was always weird, but so this was the one time that I like sat outside to get an Amiibo, and I did it more for the experience, not because I really wanted these characters. I did, but it was more for the experience of actually going out and doing it, and that's when I was probably at the height of my Amiibo collecting, honestly. And I love it. Seth and I brought our 3DSs, we got some camping chairs, we set up a whole thing. We were the only people there until about 6 a.m., but we got there at like 5:20, stayed until they opened. 2 guys tried to cut us off by standing on the other side of the door, and the GameStop employee was like, back of the line, you two. So thank you, GameStop employee, for keeping us in 1st and 2nd place in line. It was a great honor. And yeah, it was just a really good experience. We street passed with some of the other guys waiting in line. And we came home with a Retro 3-packs, and then I passed out on the couch without even opening it. So it was a pretty special memory. And again, that was when I was the happiest Amiibo hunting, because they were still coming out. We were kind of seeing the end of what we knew was coming out in terms of Smash, but it was just such a cool experience to go out and do it. So I don't know if I'd do it again. I like midnight releases. I did do the Tears of the Kingdom midnight release, but getting up that early to wait for an Amiibo especially, maybe not so much. And then we have 3 more Smash Amiibos, and I saved these 3 for last because these are the 3 that I actively display. Yes, all of the Amiibo you just saw, I do not have displayed anywhere in my house. Partly because I live with my folks still, so I don't really have a place to put them. And 2, in my own room, I have too many of them to put on anyone's shelf that I would rather use to display my games or something like that. So my Amiibo sit in my closet in a box, which is why so many of them are so dusty. Yes, I know, I am cruel. I am very cruel. That's part of the reason I couldn't keep them all boxed, is I simply didn't have the space, both in college and when I moved back home. So keeping them boxed never made any sense, even though the temptation has been there for a few of them, but it just never made sense because they're all in one big box together for the most part. So I decided to keep the ones that I keep out on display for last, with a few stragglers, because there's some other series that I want to talk about. But first of that is Shulk, my favorite Amiibo of all time. Shulk is one of my mains in Smash, even to this day. And I love him. Shulk was a Japanese import. I couldn't find him anywhere in the US. It just didn't work. So I ordered him from Amazon for like $30 to get him from Japan. And I have no regrets because I wanted this guy so badly. I was and am a big Xenoblade fan. Once they announced Shulk was coming out, he was the #1 Amiibo I needed. The absolute #1 Amiibo. So even though I spent way more than I needed to then, I still got him. And so aside from the Amiibo that I had gotten from Seth and the ones that I had bought, I didn't buy any other Smash Amiibo, especially after Ultimate came out, except for 2. Except for 2. And I'm sure you can guess what they are because I'm doing these all grouped together. Pyra and Mithra. I think I actually showed them off in a video too. But so these 2 were the very first Amiibo that I had bought in a long time. A really long time. I pre-ordered these guys right away because I was so excited, and even because I got them even before I played Xenoblade 2, the second time, not the first time, but I knew I needed them so I could have the whole Xenoblade set, at least the set up to that point in time, and I just really like them. I know some people had problems with these figures, that they were a little derpy. Mine thankfully came out really clean, and I love these guys, even more so now that I am a big fan of Xenoblade 2, but like, I love having those guys. But they were probably the last Smash Amiibo I will ever buy. Sora is coming out this month, I believe. I didn't pre-order Sora, but I don't think I'm gonna get Sora. So before I go into my last few Amiibo from different series, I do want to talk about the Smash line. So once we kind of got to Ultimate and we started releasing a bunch more, that's when it really kind of got out of control for me. Not in terms of I was spending too much or anything like that, but it just got way too much to try to keep track of. Even for some of my favorite characters. Like, I'd love to have an Isabelle one from Smash, or like, I'd love to have the Player 2 Corrin so I can get like the female Corrin and stuff, but like, I just couldn't do it anymore. And that kind of ceased all operations for all Amiibo at that point in time. And Pyra and Mythra were really the ones that kind of brought me out of Amiibo retirement a little bit. So I've definitely bought more Amiibo between Pyra and Mythra, and actually before Pyra and Mythra, because we've got Tears of the Kingdom, but between 2023 and now, I bought more Amiibo then than I had in the past 5 years. Maybe more at that point in time. So it's kind of crazy to think about how big of a gap I took in between all of these Amiibo. And of course, my latest edition, Noah and Mio, which I'm gonna open at the end of the video, but we have a few more to get through first. So obviously the Smash Amiibo were not the only ones that I had, but I also had some Splatoon ones as well. So I got the 3-pack, the original 3-pack with our green squid, our orange inkling, and our blue inkling. That was from Seth. But randomly, I went to Walmart looking to buy an Amiibo, and even though I didn't really want it, it was on sale. I got another inkling boy. That was before I got the 3-pack. I had this guy sealed for about 7 years and didn't open him, and then once Seth gave me all the other Amiibo, I was like, I can't just keep this guy in the box. The box was so sun bleached at that point in time, there was no point. So I opened him, and there we go. I didn't have Splatoon on Wii U, so when those ones came out, I didn't feel a need to buy them. Like, it got to that point with Amiibo hunting where it was just like, oh, I see an Amiibo, I gotta pick it up. Even if it wasn't a character I wanted. And that was troublesome for me because I don't like doing that. So once I bought Inkling Boy and then didn't open him, that was another indication of the end, I think. Another series that I only have 2 from are the Super Mario series. Mainly these were for Mario Party 10. Also didn't have Mario Party 10 on the Wii U, but I did want to get 2 of these. So I got the Silver Mario, not as exclusive as the Gold Mario, that was a Walmart exclusive, but I still thought the Silver one was pretty cool, and I figured, hey, if I can at least get this guy, that's something. And this one, which I'm a big fan of, I would be totally a fake fan if I didn't get this guy. Toad! A lot of you know how much I love Toad, one of my favorite Mario characters of all time. Toad actually does have a place, I say that as I drop him. Toad does have a place of esteem in my house. He's still in the closet, but he's not in the box, so he gets a little special place. I'm probably gonna put him on my desk, honestly, because I love him. Now, another one of my favorites, and this came with Mario Maker for the Wii U, is the Super Mario Bros. 30th Anniversary Amiibo. I love the pixel ones. They did another one in more modern colors that you could only buy with a Wii U that had Mario Maker, which was beyond crazy because people would buy the Wii U for the sake of the Amiibo, send it back with an unopened random Amiibo, and then take it back to Walmart and just exchange it and get this exclusive Amiibo for free, which is crazy. This guy just came with Mario Maker, so he was a little bit easier to get, but still really cool. And I love that it says Super Mario Bros. 30th. He sits on my bookshelf protecting my GameCube games, so it's perfect, but he's a great one. Now, this might be surprising to some people with how cheap these Amiibo are, but I only have 2 Amiibo from this set, and that's Isabelle and Digby from the Animal Crossing figure set. So, fun fact about the Animal Crossing ones, obviously they were used for Amiibo Festival, but not all of them were used for Amiibo Festival. In fact, only a few of them can be used in Amiibo Festival, but they released a lot more characters than needed. Part of that was because of Happy Home Designer and then the eventual New Leaf update to allow Amiibo support, but it was ridiculous because they were all packaged the same way. And a lot of those Amiibo can actually still be found in Five Belows around the country. At least they were last time I saw. So you can get a brand new Animal Crossing Amiibo for $5. And I did that once for a friend's Christmas present. I got them Cap'n, And I was like, wow, what a crazy life to be buying an amiibo for only $5. But I got these two because I bought a brand new copy of Amiibo Festival back last year, and that was also just $18. So, you know, you can still find some of the Animal Crossing amiibo for pretty darn cheap if you want them. Now, two of my other favorites and two that have been sitting on my bookshelf for years, the Yarn Yoshi from Yoshi's Woolly World. These are some of my absolute favorite amiibo because they were the amiibo that showed us amiibos don't just have to be a plastic figure. They can be a lot more, like a cereal box, which is true, or these cute little plushes. So I only have the two. I don't have the blue Yoshi, and I don't have the big one, and I don't have Poochie because Poochie is so expensive. That is the one problem with these yarn ones, is these guys aren't too expensive, but some of the other ones are. But they're so cute and they were so well made. I was so shocked. So the green one I got with Woolly World. That was one of my favorite things about the Wii U, is they were pushing these amiibos, so some of them would be bundled with them, and then I asked for the pink one separately, and yeah, I'm really glad that I have both of these. They are just absolute staples, and I meant to show this off actually in my my latest haul video, but another little Christmas present that I got was this little crocheted Yoshi egg. And even though it's not an amiibo, I keep it with these guys so they can protect the egg. It's pretty cute, so just wanted to show that off. And my final opened amiibo is one that I picked up in 2023, and one that I was not going to get, but really felt the urge to get because I was just in such a Tears of the Kingdom fever, is the Link amiibo. This guy also sits out on my desk. I really love the detail on this amiibo. I think the hand is so cool, and I think the Tears of the Kingdom amiibo, maybe with the exception of Ganondorf, because he does look a little derpy, but this Link shows how far a lot of the amiibo designs have come and how a lot of the paint jobs on the amiibo have come, because he's so detailed. This Link is so detailed in comparison to, like, the first Link that we got for Smash. And I think it's cool that as these amiibo continue to come out and are a bit more specified, rather than just Smash, they get so much more detailed. And like, as I said earlier, a lot of the Smash ones are really detailed, but just in terms of stylistic choices, like, I mean, if you look at the hand, it's so good. It's so cool. So, I don't know. I love this guy. Have him on my desk all the time. And he was the amiibo I thought I was going to buy last, until they announced Noah and Mio. So Noah and Mio are the only Xenoblade amiibo, because Pyra, Mithra, and Shulk are all Smash amiibos. These two have their own specific base, which we'll see in a second, but they are the only Xenoblade amiibos. And so obviously, being a fan of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I wanted them. And I'll be honest, I debated keeping them in their box, but I think in order to put them on the shelf with my other Xenoblade amiibo, I have to release them from their captivity. So we're gonna do it, even though it's a beautiful box. I'm very sorry. Oh no! See, even though I collect them out of the box, it still pains me because the artwork on some of these is so cool. Oh, I'm sorry, Noah's chest. Oh man, I opened this very poorly, but so it goes, so it goes. Here they are. Oh, my babies, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. See, even though I don't actively collect amiibo, there's still something very special about opening these up. So here is Noah. Oh my god, he looks cool. His hair's a little blue. It's a lot more black in the game, but very cool. And as I said, you can kind of see the base. It's got the X for Xenoblade. And here's Mio. Oh, she's so cute. She's so cute. I love it, I love it, I love it. And see, these guys, they're so sleek. Even with Mio having a little cast on the back, it's not obtrusive. It's just really nice looking, so it's great to have these two a part of the collection. Officially, they've been in their box sitting on my desk for like a week until I could film this video, but I'm happy to have them a part of the collection. So there we have it. There's my amiibo collection. My opinion on amiibo. Do I think I'm going to buy any more? I really don't think so. Unless something changes or like something new comes out with them, I just don't really see a need to. Or if it's a character that I really, really like and am passionate about. Like, listen, if you get me a Dimitri amiibo, I'll buy it. Nintendo, I'll buy it, but that's about it. I don't regret any of my amiibo spending in the past because it really was fulfilling a childhood dream. It really, really was. I mean it when I said getting those trophies in Melee was such a special thing, and so to have them tangibly realized was a really cool thing as I was an older teen. But now, especially since I don't use them in games and I just collect them for the aesthetics, it's hard to want to buy anymore because they take up so much space, and as of right now, I don't have a place to display more than a few of my favorites. But who knows, maybe amiibos will disappear with the Switch 2. I don't really see them having much of a use for many games anymore. Other than a few random drops, costume changes, or maybe some very sparse functionality, there's not much to do with them anymore. So maybe after 10 years, Amiibo will finally be done. Who knows? But 10 years of collecting something sure is a long time. And even if I wasn't actively collecting them throughout the 10 years, the fact that Amiibo have been around for such a big chunk of my life is pretty ridiculous, actually. So it was really fun to look back and look at all of my collection and just talk about some collecting memories. And I'd love to hear some of your memories with Amiibo too. Which are your favorite? Do you have any crazy collecting stories, like waiting outside of stores at 5 a.m. to get a character you want? I'd love to hear them. And are you still collecting Amiibo? Do you have any aspirations to complete a full set of the Smash ones or the Zelda ones or anything like that? Let me know. But anyways, everybody, that was a very long video. I need to drink some water and I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, maybe give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, maybe consider subscribing. We do lots of fun Nintendo stuff on the channel, and I'd love to have you here. But that's gonna do it for me for now. Until the next one. Goodbye. Boop.